Hello, my name is Steve. I'm an evangelical Christian. Thanks for following the link to this video. And I want to pose the question, is the Bible still relevant to 21st century democracy? And I want to affirm with a resounding yes that it is. And I want to give a few reasons why. And I want to start with this picture of a county courthouse. Um, which was built with Greco-Roman architecture to remind us of the roots of democracy, which came from the Greco-Roman world with their early experiments with representative republics and democracies. You know, in Washington, D.C., our government buildings have the same architecture to remind us of the same. That is the origin or our roots. Um, with the Greco Roman world and their experiments with democracy. And likewise, often in the past was posted a monument to the Ten Commandments because so much of our Western democracy was made possible because of the Bible. Okay? Now, not so much as a religious statement, but a reminder of our roots, of the morals and ethics of democracy. Now, some people view these Ten Commandments as a religious assertion and they feel very offended, so it was removed. But you also have to remember that Greco Roman architecture was full of expressions of the pantheon of gods of that classical era. And even today, the months of our year reflect the name of the man gods Julius Caesar for July, Augustus for August, with October, we had Octavius. And the days of our weeks are named after Teutonic gods. Tuesday was for Mercury. Wednesday is a derivative from Odin. And easiest to see is Thursday or Thor's Day for Thor. And Friday is for Frigg, the Norwegian goddess. So they are, these Ten Commandments are no more religious than the days of the week. It should be no more offensive than how we name the days of the week. So I want to say that biblical accounts and the narratives played a major role in the founding of Western democracy. Our rule of law, individual liberty, ethics, and moral attitudes can be found in biblical narratives. And this is why these 10 commandments have been posted there. Now, reasons for civil government go back to biblical narratives, especially the book of Exodus, where Moses took a large group of people out to the wilderness and organized them using ethics and codes and commands and giving them a central hub, the tabernacle, organize that society. And this served as an example to early English colonists in America because the Bible could be looked to and it actually functioned as the first civil organizing document in the Americas because of its example of the formation of government from this book of Exodus. Now, lawful resistance against a tyranny is also in the Bible. And again, I would take you back to Exodus with the Exodus from Egypt, from the Egyptian tyranny upon Israel. Also, the post exile era from Babylon and the post exile Hebrew narrative. And of course, Christians dealing with Rome. Okay. And early Americans could look to these examples to see how various groups of people broke free from a tyranny and that it was righteous. Now, English common law was definitely based on the Bible, and until the 1800s, ecclesiastical courts would verify the English common law as being Bible consistent. And the US Constitution is also based on English common law. So there's a connection. Now, when colonists in America broke free from England, they could appeal to England's values, their biblical values, and also that common law based on the Bible. And this way, they had moral justification for independence. Now, our major institutions that help people as rural communities developed across America, were almost always started by churches, social services, schools, medical facilities. And even in my small town in Oregon, you can trace back all of these services, these smaller institutions that help people. Uh, they had their beginnings with churches. Just check it out in your own community. Now, universities in America often started as theological seminaries and then evolved into research facilities of the sciences. But even as seminaries, they promoted the arts, the sciences, and philosophy. This became the background of our civic life and our educational system. Now, there are attributes that made the Bible so influential now, and circumstances that made the Bible so influential and so pivotal and instrumental in the founding of democracy. This is because the Bible has long been the most available, familiar, dependable source and arbitrator of intellectual, moral, and spiritual beliefs in the Western world. And there are reasons why the Bible became so available. There is a whole story behind this, and it goes back to Hebrew being the first fully phonic written language in human history. In addition, um, Jewish peoples um, recorded their sacred story, their sacred text were written down on parchments and papyri, became portable media that could be easily distributed. See, much easier than distributing a clay tablet or something scribed on a rock. And so they could become mass duplicated and preserved. So it's easier to write something with ink than it is to carve something on a stone, make something in clay. So they could write the stuff down on parchment and distribute it. And it made it accessible to large numbers of people over a broad geographic region. Okay. So when Christianity came along, this tradition continued. The Bible was translated into Greek as a phonic language. It could be done accurately. And Christian writings, Christian texts um, were most often written in Greek and distributed throughout the Greco Roman world. And Christian texts had described beliefs, doctrines, dogmas, and ethical codes in them, and it made it easy people who joined these religions to understand what was expected of them. Now, in the Middle Ages, 1440, the Gutenberg Bible was the earliest major book mass produced using movable metal type in Europe. So, pardon me, the ability to produce hundreds, if not tens of thousands of copies created cultural revolution because people could read the Bible for themselves. And printed texts, earlier than the Gutenberg Bible, of course, were printed in Asia and in India, but the Gutenberg Bible was the first fully themed collection of written works, industrial printed in human history. Because the Bible is a library of books, not just one book. So, mass numbers of printed Bibles played a significant role in the establishment of Western democracy and the ideas of individual rights in the West. And because of this, I believe the Bible is still relevant today in our 21st century democracy. I thank you very much for your time. And if you're interested in doing a little bit more reading about the Bible and its role in our modern democracy, jot down these references. So keep studying and take care.